from Polaris, and this is our third edition of Look to the Stars. It's the sessions where you get to ask anything to some of the stars that we have met throughout our Polaris journey. And this evening we have together with us Cornelia Coman. Good evening, Cornelia. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening. Thank you so much for the invitation. I have to say, I don't feel like a star, but thank you for calling this session as such. I'm so happy and I really feel honored to be tonight with all of you. And now I see people joining and yeah, I see very familiar names. So hello, everyone. I feel
Yes, there was quite some positive reaction to the announcement that you're joining this session. And I really cannot wait to get into it, but maybe first just to start with a few admin. So we are having people joining via Zoom, but also via Facebook Live. On Zoom, we kindly ask everybody to keep their microphones and their cameras off. And if they would like to ask questions to Cornelia, we are more than happy that you do so. Please write to us in the chat or raise your hand, and we can also give you the mic and the camera if you want to engage directly, or you can just type it in the chat. And the same for Facebook. You can always write questions there, and then we'll pick them up. We're really happy if we get questions from the audience. But I want to start this evening, well, with a bit of what's going on here in the Netherlands, because Cornelia, for I think since I met you, it's the first time that we live in the same country now.
Yes, that's correct.
And so we're affected by the same news, and here in the Netherlands, there was an urgent announcement that starting tomorrow and then Wednesday, we're going to have stricter lockdown. That means also schools are closed and non-essential shops, everything is pretty much closed down. That's, I think, a big hit, I must say, to the morale of people, also with the holidays coming up. So what I wanted to ask you is, I know that you have had your difficult times with this coronavirus crisis. And I'm curious, how has it been for you, and what do you do, to still keep your energy up and still go on, as we all have to do?
Yeah, I think 2020 was a very special year for everyone. I mean, we'll never forget this year for many reasons, and everybody was hoping to have such a great year at the beginning of the year. But for God's sake, it was so intense. I think, and it was intense for me personally, for many, yeah, for the fact that I changed a country in the middle of COVID. I moved from Madrid to the Netherlands. I have to find schools in COVID times. I have to, and there were no places, by the way. And then to find a house on, yeah, everything on funda.nl, looking at the pictures and choosing the house based on pictures and our virtual tour. And then I decided also to change the employer. So there's so many changes during this year for me personally and also for my family. And indeed, COVID started, as you remember, we had the first lockdown early on in March. I remember 13th of March when my daughter came from school, and the next day they announced that the school is going to be closed. And actually she started with high fever. So I had, unfortunately at home, the challenge to have a first COVID infected person in my family, being my daughter. And to see all the limitations back then of the system, or the health system, which of course was overwhelmed by the number of calls, and I had no clue where to go, how to make sure that is this COVID or not, how to test her, because at that time was a big issue to test everyone. And yeah, it took a while until I could test and to test the rest of the house. Bottom line, she had been locked for 35 days in her room, being 16 years old. Girl. Wow. And I couldn't touch.
Wow.
Couldn't really, as a mother, not to be there to, yeah, give some comfort to your children is just terrible feeling. And this is what happened. So, and then I did a lot a lot of effort to keep her in her room, not to infect the rest. But of course, this COVID is really contagious. So the person I want to take care of them, to protect the most, is my mom, who has a lot of health issues. And in the end, after 2 weeks of, yeah, she did it. And then was not easy, like with my daughter, we ended up in hospital. So it was like, phew. So now with this announcement, one, I can say lockdown is business as usual this year.
Yes, yes.
I'm so much used to. I was so afraid of it in March and April, having the COVID in your house and trying, to protect anyone. And every day in the morning, I was like, okay, who is next today? That's the emotional impact it has on me, and was tough. It was really tough. And now I think everybody has like hopes Christmas is coming. We can disconnect. We can indeed stay at home and or do things with our family, and get some energy back, because it was just crazy year. It was just a
yes.
But let's see if 2021 will start like this, and or the vaccine will be soon here, that finally go back to a different life. I'm not saying normal, because there is no normal, but a different life, something that, step by step we can do things that we really miss. Like concert, by the way. I miss a concert. I want to go to live music. This is what
There's so many things that we used to do and that now seem so far and so impossible even. It will take a while, but if we make small steps, I think we're on the good path. It sounds incredible. I mean, indeed, you had a tough year, but also, an empowering year, because you did make so many changes, right? You moved to a new country, to a new role. And I must say that, well, I was fortunate enough to work a little bit with you, and I think that what I was impressed by was your positive energy and positive attitude, and keep that also through crisis. And I think you've managed to do the same this year, right? It was a difficult crisis. I'm really happy that everything turned out okay in the end. So that's really the most important part. But I think in your career, you have also dealt with a lot of changes and a lot of tough situations, and that's really what impressed us all who were around you. You had this incredible career that you got appointed as a CEO at only, I think, 33 years old, and also pregnant.
Yeah.
That sounds like, wow, that's really an impressive woman. But that's how it felt for you, because again, I think it was not an easy time.
No, that's true. And I have to admit that indeed I was 8 months pregnant when they asked me to take this role. And I said, listen, I was deputy CEO at that time. The CEO was a Dutch guy that I learned a lot from. And I was like, no, please, I'm not ready. And I'm so happy, bring another expert or whatever. And I will be, support the new CEO to be successful. I can learn from that person. And 4 more years, it will be very, very good for me to be ready. And they were like, actually, you are ready, you'll see. And what I think was important, that my predecessor, Bram Boon, was a big supporter, and he was the one actually proposing to the CEO International at that time to appoint me. And because also he was impressed in general by Romanian ladies, I would say. That's what Bram was saying. The Romanian ladies that can do 3 things at the same time. I know you ladies, you are the boss at home, you take care of the kids, you take care of the household, and you work full time, and you are also very successful in your careers. So that was his speech to his boss in the Netherlands, to convince to appoint a pregnant Romanian young lady as a CEO.
It worked.
It worked. I think he had very, clear skills in persuasion. But for me, I think that was not the most important thing. I think it was good that the boss, support you. But I think for me, the most important in that decision was the fact that I knew the company very well. I grew in that company. I grew together with that company because I started my career it was ING back then, insurance Romania, immediately after I graduated from university. And as I said, I grew that. I knew so well the team, and especially I have to admit that I so much of my middle management team because they are very young and smart and enthusiastic people. And I said, okay, with this team around me, what can happen? Everything is possible. So because of the team I had, I said yes. And what I didn't know at that time was the fact that the financial crisis will hit Europe, because that was in 2008. I was appointed in September. And if you remember, everything started in October that year. It was crazy. And not only that, financial crisis hit Europe really hard, but nobody expected that ING at that time would be hit hard. So as a CEO, new CEO, I was able to be at home for 2 months only with my second child, baby, and having calls while everybody could hear my baby screaming. Because we're in a crisis mode already. And January 1st, I started working, and was really tough. So my first year as a CEO in Romania, managing a crisis and a baby at home, and very challenging. So because also we were market leader, as a market leader, a lot of media attention. So I had to manage also reputation risk of the company and be present in many interviews. All newspapers want to make, to make the things even worse, to look like every crisis, all the consequences of the crisis are even worse than they were in reality. So I had to be very, very careful and manage, externally and internally, the team to stay focused and to look at what can we do better for our customers, because customer attention was number one priority.
Yes.
But that brings energy, that brought energy back then to the organization and to my team, and we did everything was possible to keep our customers happy. So that was my beginning as a CEO. And I remember the first year being CEO, I met Bram Boon, and he asked me, so how was it? I said, if I no way to say yes. Yeah, nobody expected Cornelia to have this.
Of course.
Yes. Everything.
Indeed. And look, we are receiving already a question, so I'm encouraging everybody who would like to say something or to ask you something, please go ahead. So the question is, being a starting CEO, so your first time as a CEO in a crisis is definitely not easy. What kind of help did you have, or did you ask to manage? Who did you ask to manage and to what did you do to take care of yourself?
As I said, I think I have counted from the beginning on my team, and that was the reality. I had a very good team, and I remember another piece of advice from Bram was like, when you get to the top, Cornelia, you are going to be very lonely, and I expected to feel lonely at the top, but I don't know. I decided to be very transparent to the rest of the organization of what is going on, and explain every single decision I have to make, all the trade-offs we have to make. And somehow, I don't know, I didn't feel lonely even 1 second, because people just, get together and get mobilized. And I think they just did an amazing job. And it was not easy, as I said, but I think most support I received was from my team. I was really good cooperation. As I said, very young, but good team spirit and cooperation. And when you have this team, you can move mountains. And at the same time, to be honest, also from the Netherlands, I think I got a lot of support in helping me. I mean, with all the decisions I make, they supported and they back me up on every single decision I made. And sometimes I had to make very tough decisions. I remember one decision I made was to sue the regulator, the pension regulator in Romania, which, you never do that. And still my boss said, yeah, this is the right thing to do because I know we were right. And actually we won, and it was a lot of pressure, I mean, from everybody in the country. Stop that court case, well, still. And then, you know, letters, threatening letters that the CEO of the group, Jan Homan, is going to hear about this, and actually escalations at every single level. But still, I thought this is the right thing to do, and I just follow, I follow my decision. But I felt also, as I said, very well supported by the Netherlands, by, you know, the head office in my case. So, and then at home, how did I get energy? If you look at the pictures online of my time as a CEO, first year CEO, I don't know, maybe I see Adina is there, that she worked with me back then. When I look at my pictures, guys, I look like shit. I mean, sorry, but I really, it was like, I could, you know, no sleep. I was so tired, exhausted. You've seen all my pictures. I remember, you know, like this, and I always thinking, no smile. And I was like, gosh, you could see on my face that it was not easy at all. No time for hairdresser, no time for anything else. I mean, all my time was, of course, with my family and my kids.
And having a baby, you know, in the first year, who doesn't sleep that well, I suppose.
Actually, my daughter was terrible, and then the second child, my son, was much better than my daughter, who didn't sleep for 9 months. So in comparison, I expected the worst, and he was actually okay-ish. After a few months, he could sleep. And I remember I had an interview that I read recently back then, and I thanked my son Tudor, saying, "Thank you, Tudor, for allowing me to be CEO," because he was pretty good baby. He was very calm and nice. And okay, he woke up once a night, but that was for me okay, comparing with 5 times a night like my daughter did to me. So that was challenging, having not only one baby, but also managing the second child, you know, and
yes,
jealousy and tension over there. And not that I want to make things even more dramatic, but actually what happened was that my husband back then was crazy about skiing, and he had an accident, ski accident, and he almost died on top of the mountains in Romania. It was an open fracture, and he had to have, you know, surgeries, whatever. And that was, the same year. I was back January, and this happened in March, if I remember well. So then he was disabled for 1 year almost. He was in bed. So I had support from my husband even, and then it was, had 2 nannies to support me. I remember 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening, because I was, you know, out of the house for almost 12 hours a day. Nobody can work so much. It was quite an adventure. What gives me energy? Yeah, definitely my kids, their smile, my friends, my family, stuff overall.
Yeah. Wow, yes, indeed. I mean, you know, now I'm even more backing my statement that you deal with crisis very well. You had so many in your life, and still come out, glorious and very positive. I mean, I've never seen you really stressed, really, you know, feeling that, okay, yes, you really are very, very stressed. I think you are always full of positive energy. And we have Adina now.
Say something.
Yes, that she remembers you making very well calculated decisions. You were never worried. You had words for everybody. How did you do this? What process did you follow to make the right decisions? Looking back, even in the example you gave earlier with the trial, you showed courage. Everybody was afraid. How do you do to manage fear? What do you do?
I have to say that I remember I had a very strange meeting just related to that specific decision I made with the president of the regulator, pension regulator, and he invited me to his office, and he threatened me personally, like, your career is over if you don't stop this. And I was so calm. I said, please go ahead, I don't care. But then he said something. He said he actually noticed that this did not have any impact on me. So then he went on and he said, yeah, you also have a file under approval, which was business decision that we made, and it was required an approval from the regulator. And when he said that, I exploded, because I said, you can do whatever to me, but you can't do this to the company. I said, this company is not only the market leader, but it's the example in this market. So you can't do that. And then it became so emotional that looking back to that episode, I was like, if you have to make business decisions, I mean, I know what is right for the company, and I feel it, if, is with my brain and my heart. I don't know. It's something, is my intuition. I don't know. But if I believe in something, I don't care. I just go to the end. Of course, you have to take into account and balance out all the risks you take. But I don't know what kind of process I follow, Adina. I just always do the right thing. And maybe sometimes, I will have a lot of negative consequences. So far, I managed with all my decisions to prove that, if you have the right, the heart in the right place, and you make the decisions for your customers and for the company you represent, everything follows. So I don't have any recipe of how do I make decisions. I always listen a lot. I listen to many different perspectives. I listen to a lot of stakeholders, let's say, in that process, whether have employees impacted, or customers, or regulator, or whatever, who is impacted. I always listen all different points of view before making a decision. And I really take into account all the points of view. And what I was proud in my career always, that I managed to have very diverse teams. Because we are human beings, and we are biased no matter what. So the question is, how can you bring in your team people that have very different perspectives than yours? Whether that comes from their personality. Some of them see only risk. Other people see only the upside. Other people have very different business experience, different industry experience. And that's the beauty. If you can have a team around you that brings all these different perspectives, and there's no one which more or less think the same like the other, that's the way I always use. I make use of this kind of board conversations in order to make decisions. And at the end, apparently, things so far were correct, because I think, different perspectives. I think that process I always follow. It's not me making a decision. It's a group conversation that leads to a common decision at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. It was I think a question from Adina, but then I jumped from.
Yes. No, but this is a really great bridge to what I want to ask you next. But before that, before I say another flattering thing, I'm going to read the comment from Judith. She says, flattering pictures or not, you were very inspiring back then already, talking of your pictures on social media from your first years as CEO. Back to the diversity of teams, and I think to what you mentioned about your experience in ING Insurance Romania at that time, with having that team close to you and not feeling lonely at the top. After being so successful in Romania, you also decided to move on to a new challenge, being a CEO in another country. Hungary. And for those who know the connections between Hungary and Romania, there's some small tension there, if it's justified or not, but it exists, some prejudice sometimes. So you were a Romanian woman, going as a CEO to a Hungarian company, which was quite traditional, if I remember correctly at that time. How was that experience? Because you probably didn't feel as connected to the team from the beginning as you did in Romania, of course.
Yeah, I think first of all, when I was announced, it was a very funny article in financial newspapers in Romania. That was, the headline was like, Romanian young and woman CEO now moved to Hungary. Good luck, Cornelia. So it was a very not easy challenge, lady. And I didn't think at all about this when I started the job there. I just went there with an open heart, and I just spent 3 months just listening to the whole organization, customers, business partners, regulator, insurance association. I immediately got, connected with many people around me. And I have to admit that I never felt, not even once, a slight remark or a comment or a look that, she's Romanian, that's why she's making that. I felt so welcome in that country, not only by the team of NN, because then we rebranded to NN, but as I said, insurance industry leaders, the regulator was like, welcome to our country. I'm so happy that you are here. You can bring some different experience in our country. And they said the same when I left. They said, we're so sorry we are leaving because we build things together. So I don't know, it's about personal connections and being yourself and being open-minded and with your open heart. And for me, it was so natural that because I didn't think about it. I just went there, and then things went very smooth and very natural. And being Romanian. And at the same time, I think maybe the organization had more challenges in thinking about, woman, foreigner, they had different leaders in the past. Some of them were Hungarian, some of them were, foreigners, different experiences. So they were like, okay, let's see what this lady is bringing to us. And it took a while because the team, the company was a bit more traditional. They were expecting the boss to give the direction. I remember they expected, now you are the CEO, you have to set the direction. And I said, no, this is something we are going to work together on. So it took a while to form the team, to start working together well. But I enjoyed. It was hard. It was a very difficult mandate I had there. It was a closure of the pension system because the prime minister decided to nationalize the private pension system, pension funds in Hungary. So I had to close the business. I had to make another difficult decision to close another company. So it was a full turnaround job. So it was not easy to be new and explain to people why we have to do mass dismissals. I mean, you don't get popular at all. But at the end of the day, I think, I look back with having very good memories, and I really enjoy my time in Hungary, despite of the fact that, again, on personal level was tough because I decided also to divorce, and was a difficult separation, especially when you have kids and you are abroad and your family is not around to support you. I remember I was with my father on the phone every day. That was, again, not easy on personal level. But at the end of the day, the best compliment I got at the end, they said to me, Cornelia, they call me nap sugar. And I think you did now will understand what does it mean. It's more like sunrise, or it's more of they said that I bring sunshine in their life. And that was something mentioned by people in the Salesforce, in the Tide Agents network. There are salespeople a bit more emotional. So it's the way they call me in the end, because they said that I brought hope to the organization, because we put together a new strategy, and we've closed the pension, but we focused on the life insurance, and we had a good strategy to start growing and not only be market leader, but behave like a market leader.
Yes. Yeah. So and then so a lot to talk about. First of all, every change feels like it came with a personal sacrifice, with another personal challenge on top of the professional one. But also after Hungary, you decided to move to a new country, to Spain, where I think you also managed to turn around the company. I saw change really in Hungary happening, but also in Spain. And what I wanted to ask you, really, it's what I'm interested in. It's cultural differences. You somehow managed to empower teams, regardless of the culture, and regardless of some cultural differences from those biases that you talk about that we all have. How do you do that? What are really the strategies to be able to engage people so that they really also go beyond their own comfort zone, not just to lead them, but to take them through a transformation?
What I learned, especially in Hungary, because indeed was a different culture than Romania. We are neighbor countries, but we are very different. I mean, Hungarians are great in execution. They really keep their promise. They never, I mean, Romanians, you know, everything in last minute. Let's be very honest, right? But also when you have to say, let's go to the right, everybody's running. In Hungary, they are like, no, 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 let me think about whether I should run to the right or not. So what I learned there, what actually helped in managing change and transformation was to show results early on. So PowerPoints never work in any organization, as you know. So you have to slice and look what can you implement faster and yeah, early on that can bring results, because only results make people believe that the direction is good, and then they will follow you. So that was my my lesson in Hungary, and that was the way I see people immediately, you know, getting engaged and motivated. And results, again, it's not only about results in financial terms, but again, from my whole experience, I think what motivates the most and bring change in an organization is when you focus, yeah, any change you do to help your customers. So if your strategy is around customer centricity and explain everything you do through the eyes of your customers, how, you know, a product, a service will improve and will change the life of your customer, that's mobilize people no matter what. We are talking about emotions. It doesn't matter whether you're Romanian, Hungarian, or Spanish, because later on I was in Spain, right? So that's something that, you know, mobilize the teams around a common goal and makes things easier in a way. But the speed and the adoption, I mean, it's definitely different per country.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you know, make it personal. That's what you're saying, right? Bring it to the personal level. Another question from the chat: what are you most proud of from your time in Hungary?
The customer satisfaction. I did an evaluation at the end of my 4 years mandate, and I looked, of course, financially. It was fantastic from where we started. But customer satisfaction, you know, we measure the Net Promoter Score, and having a big increase in customer retention and customer satisfaction, for me, these were the most, yeah, the thing that I was most proud of. And at the same time, to leave behind a strong team, to leave behind a successor that was coming from the team. Yeah, these were my the things I was mostly proud of.
Nice. Nice. And as I was saying, then you moved to Spain. I think a new challenge, a completely different culture than the Hungarian one, maybe a little bit closer to the Romanian. How was that experience?
But before that, let me tell you that, because I had this, you know, crazy personal situation again with my divorce, I was very lucky because the company, NN back then, allowed me to have a sabbatical for 4 months. So I really was lucky to have 4 months off, and you know, to make the transition to the next job, but also recover from you know, all this intense period of my life. And can you imagine that after 1 month I was up 6 o'clock in the morning? And would ask me whether you are a morning person or a late, you know, evening person. I would definitely say late evening. I'm so tired in the morning. I hate mornings. I'm always late for meetings. I want to start 10 if possible meetings and just working, you know, these kind of things. And then I was like, what is wrong with me? Why do I wake up 6 o'clock, 6:30, and then I can't sleep anymore? And then it was my sister, I have 2 years older, who is 2 years older than me, said, but don't you remember when you were a child that you're always up early mornings, Saturdays, Sundays, that where you have no school and still you're up. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. You always had so much energy, Cornelia. I said, really? Mm-hmm. And then I realized that, because now I was in sabbatical and I didn't work, what was the toll I was paying every day, guys, for, or ladies, for working. That, you know, being so tired that you don't want to wake up even 10 o'clock, suddenly 6 o'clock, I was full of energy. And I'm like, gosh, what a difference. But you don't realize that until you, you know?
Yes.
And yeah. And then I want to make another comment, because you said, linked to this one, that, yeah, I had so many crises in my life, but also I reflected, it's about your personality. There are people that prefer to have one thing because then they do really, really well that thing. I don't function like this. I don't know what's wrong with me, but since I was a child, if I didn't have 3 or 4 things to do at the same time, I would do, then if I have 4 things, I would do fantastic, the 4 things. If you give me only one, I was really lousy, even at one single thing. The way I know, I get mobilized in a crisis. I get more energy when I'm, you know, a bit in a challenge or more.
Yes.
I don't know, then things are, I can keep 3, 4 balls in the air at the same time. But the way I function, I don't know what's wrong with me.
How did you deal then with the sabbatical? What did you do with all that energy that
oh my goodness,
came back? What did you do in those 3 months?
Everybody was like, "You're going to travel all around the world." No, my kids were at school, and for God's sake, for the first time in my life, I could go to school to pick them up. I could go to these mother events at school, and you know, we are invited to join them for a trip or something that I never had time before. And my son was like, "She's my mom. She's my mom." So proud that finally the mom is there. So
she exists.
She exists. So this is one thing I did, and I really enjoyed. And second, I started Pilates and yoga. I found a studio close by, and I love it. Every day I exercise. I never had that luxury to exercise every day. And then you are in shape, you know, you have time to, you know, clean your mind. It was so nice. I really enjoyed that time. So I was just at home, being a mother at home for a while, which was fantastic.
Wow. Yeah, it's great you got that experience as well. And do you still your yoga or Pilates practice?
Yes, I continue now with Pilates, because when I moved to Spain, I found only a Pilates reformer studio that I liked. Yoga, I tried, but was more like stretching than real yoga. So because of that, I continue with Pilates, not with yoga. And even now I continue. This is the way I relax. I push myself, and twice a week to have 1 hour session. And that's great. That's really great. That helps me to keep up and keep the energy up.
Yeah.
But as I said, and then moving to Spain, you were asking me, how was it? In the beginning was very easy, because I had, I don't know, everything was in place. No crisis. The organization was in good shape. I had a great team. Foundations were there. Of course, we had to grow faster, and it was, you know, we had a business challenge. Nevertheless, it was like after 1 month, you know, learning quickly the products you have, the business people, and then I was like, okay, no. And then I said, okay, so now let's see how to accelerate the growing the business, and then we look for acquisitions. So then it was exciting again, because it was a good experience, and not only for me but for my team, to look for acquiring a company in Spain in order to grow faster. So that's why the end was again intense, but different type of intensity indeed.
Yeah. Another question on the cultural diversity from Ingrid. I can imagine you working in all these different cultures, you did not know everything from the start about what you should do and should not do. Is there anything funny that happened because of a misunderstanding, or maybe, you know, a cultural do not?
Nothing comes immediately to my mind. Probably they were, of course, but I also remember, for instance, in Hungary, I had a fantastic assistant. She was really funny and a direct person. So I was telling her, no, please let me know. First of all, you know, if I don't get some cultural differences or things I should do differently. And she was very helpful. but I don't remember, I don't have any example to say, oh, Cornelia, you said that and you should not say that. Of course, when you try, for instance, but that's also about culture, is more that if you want to say a few words in their language, of course, you sound like, yeah. She was laughing when I tried to speak Hungarian, imagine, and she was like, you sound like an Italian. I said, what do you mean? The intonation is really bad, because it's like we close all the sentences down and you finish up, and that's not Hungarian. I'm like, okay. But this is more about, not your culture difference, is more of a language, of course, pronunciation and intonation, which is very, very different, of course, in each of the countries. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, nothing comes like, yeah, on top of my head, Ingrid.
Maybe this question would help, because Judith also says it's nice to listen to both of us, but she's asking, is there anything you would have done differently, Cornelia?
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course. Of course, as I said, you make so many decisions every day, and sometimes, you have all the facts, sometimes you have all the information, sometimes you don't. But in a way, you have to make decisions faster and without having all the information at hand. And sometimes you make the right calls, sometimes also you make the wrong calls, even on people making appointments. You say, yeah, I believe, okay, based on all the candidates, I think this will be the right fit. And then it turns out that maybe that was not the right person for the organization, looking at the culture or style of leadership and so on and so forth. So I think, yeah, there are many things, from appointments that I made that were not proven to be successful. Some of them were successful, some of them were not successful. Sometimes, yeah, I also want too much, and yeah, I'm too ambitious and I want too much, and then you see that people might not follow you, and then you learn that you need to take it and slice the elephant, as they call, in order to show more successes. So it's not always that everything went very smooth, or if everything I decided was I imagine went perfectly. No, there are many things, but there are so many examples, and I think that's life. What you need to do every day is to take the time to reflect I always do. This is the way I run actually on my year-end reviews or mid-year reviews with my team. I always ask them, think about top 3 things that you're really proud of, and 3 things that you're saying, I should have done differently. Next time I will do differently. And I really push people to reflect. And this is exactly the process I'm going through all the time, not even once a year, but even at the end of a mandate, or not only for year-end evaluation, because only by taking the time to reflect and look at your mistakes, you can learn and you can develop, because we don't know it all. Nobody knows it all. It's a matter of being open and learning from feedback, learning from your mistakes. Yeah,
definitely. By the way, this is a question that I like to ask, and now you're touching on the learning part. You've done so much, and you've achieved so many of your goals, I'm sure. But is there something that you're also willing or looking to learn in the future?
Yeah, definitely. Even with this, the change I made right now, I made a change to move to the Netherlands, because also personal level, I have a partner from here. So then I said, okay, it's better to be together. But then I'm now 45, soon 46. And I had the chance last year to be at school, back to school for 5 weeks. And I had to read 150 case studies in 5 weeks, which is like, incredible. But then you learn from so many different industries and different businesses, different, not only business, but different type of organizations, whether it's profit, non-profit. And I love those 5 weeks. So I realized, although it was very intense, I had no time even to call my children. I thought and said, gosh, I was missing so much to go back to school and take the time for yourself to learn. And then it's not only the learning experience, but as I said, learning about other industries. And then I said, if I don't make a change now, I will never make the change. So I had immediately in my mind, now if I change the, if I have to change, I want to change the job, I want to move to a different industry. But then I said, maybe it's too far-fetched, moving to a new country, you don't speak the language, and to go to a completely different industry. I was like, I think I'm a bit too crazy. So I said, okay, let's take step by step. So what I decided to go to ING. I have a responsibility for insurance, but the main reason is that I'm part of retail management team and I want to learn banking. So I'm so happy that I have now the chance to learn something new, because I have 22 years, 23 almost years of experience in insurance. I really wanted to learn something new. It's still retail, it's still financial services, but it's an add-on. And maybe from there, God knows where I go. But I really like to learn new things every day. And that's the energy.
Constant learning. And you brought up your long experience in insurance, 23 years. And I know that also in your time in Romania, you went beyond just your role as a CEO of a company, right? Of an insurance and pension company. You went on into also trying to change the environment and trying to change the legislation and to bring the whole ecosystem, let's say, one step further and to help it develop. And I think that's really something that we Romanians can all be thankful for. But can you tell us a little bit about how that experience was, right? Because you had to deal with regulators, you had to deal with competition, right? With the competitors and quite a lot of different forces, I imagine.
Yeah, it's true. When you are CEO in your home country, it's different because you speak the language, right? And that gives you some advantages. And as I said, in Romania, I was also leading the market leader in both life insurance and pension. So I was elected president of the Pension Association back then and vice president of the Insurance Association. And then I have to take a role in leading the industry and play a role in leading the industry. And because it was exactly during the financial crisis, as you can imagine, the government was looking for getting additional resources, the additional income to the budget, to the state budget, and Hungary decided to nationalize the pension and move the money from the private pension funds to the public system. So all these threats were there. So I have to spend, I think, 40% of my time outside the company. So I really had to get to know all the Ministry of Labor's, to hire a public affairs company on behalf of the association, and be there, be in the parliament, be wherever the conversations took place that could put an end or threaten in any way the private pension business. That was like our baby. It was a new baby because we started in 2017. So imagine was in 2019 when they took these measures were like very very early on, so they could have just destroyed the system altogether. So I felt responsible to take, being elected president, to mobilize the industry. And second, as the vice president of Insurance Association, I took the crisis as an opportunity, and I had that in my company, as I said, but I did it also in the industry, because I thought, if not now, when we are in the middle of the crisis, we cannot align as an industry to make some, in a proactive manner, make some changes in a way we present the product to a consumer in terms of transparency, in terms of language use. When are we going to change? And I think crisis helped me to find the right platform to make some clear proposals that have been embraced by the industry. I could get to the regulator, to the insurance regulator, with my proposal on behalf of the whole industry, and those were like copy-paste in the secondary legislation and implemented in Romania. So in the end, I was so proud that, we made real good steps in bringing clarity to our consumers, to our customers in Romania on the insurance, on the life insurance side. And pension, keeping the money of people safe and not being moved back to the government budget when you know that we have very big public deficit in a social security system in Romania, and it's going to be even more difficult in the future, and people our generation will probably get very little money from the state. So private funds is actually the only option for,
Yes.
for Romanians to have a decent pension in the future. And just before I left, finally, I remember the health minister decided to I see now what Adina is saying, decided to reform the health system. And then again, I was still CEO, so that was my last lobby activity, was more about the health system and how can private companies play a role in solving also the issues you have on the public health system in Romania. So that was my experience back then. I look back with, nice. I had very nice memories.
Definitely something to be proud of, and I wish that you will have the same big impact also on the banking industry, who knows, or any other industry that you choose in the future. Indeed, Adina made a comment about the challenges of the insurance distribution directive, but there is another question more about your role right now, because as you said, you moved into a new company after so many years in NN. It's ING, but still a very different company now than when NN was also ING. How was it to onboard into a new company while working online? What do you do?
Horrible.
Connected to your manager? How do you connect to your manager, your peers, and your team?
Horrible. My new role is in ING. I'm a cross-border tribe lead for insurance for market leaders. What does it mean? I'm to translate to everyone. I'm managing the insurance business as a distributor. ING being a distributor, not an insurance company, of course, in the Netherlands and Belgium. And I have team in Belgium and the Netherlands. And I'm serving private individuals, but also business banking. So as you can imagine, there are two big or large organizations, and I have 4 jobs in one. This is how I describe my current jobs, because there are different stakeholders, retail versus business banking, and there are different people in the Netherlands and in Belgium. So in COVID, I managed to meet 2 of my direct reports only. My boss, I face to face. The boss of my boss, I also met, the management board member. I met, and then I met also 5 peers in the Netherlands, because just when I started 1st of September, my boss decided to have a dinner with his team. So I was super lucky, because then all, restaurants were closed, and I was super lucky at least to meet face-to-face 5 people from my peer group in the Netherlands, and no one from Belgium. I was not allowed to travel to Belgium. So I don't know what to say, but it was very, very difficult onboarding. I think I had 100 meetings online just to introduce myself and to learn about the business. But if you are not in the room to feel your team, to understand, to look in their eyes and to see how they operate, it's hard to help them, to support them through a screen, right? Yes. So I have to admit, starting a new job in COVID, no, that's not easy. And probably people joining the meeting had similar experience. I'm sure I'm not the only one, but it's really hard. And I was so hoping to go back to more of at least one day in the office next year, but probably won't.
It will take time. It will take time, but it will come. We need to be positive, because it will definitely come. I think a human race is incredible of miracles, and this vaccine hopefully will bring us a miracle soon. We only have 5 minutes, and I want to ask this question because, Cornelia, I think your career and not just your career, your personal approach, your ambition, and your way of dealing with whatever life throws you is impressive for both women and men. There's really something really impressive. But in general, Polaris, you know, we want to empower women to achieve their potential. And I want to ask, what is really your advice for women who strive to become leaders, or maybe who are recently appointed leaders in a new role? What is your advice to them? How can they really have an impact?
Just be yourself. This is not about being a man or a woman. Be an authentic leader. Be who you are. Don't be afraid to be yourself. Don't try to pretend to be somebody else. From the way you are, you get dressed. Because I know some women are now, if you look too feminine, you are too beautiful, maybe you will be misinterpreted. Very stupid thing. Just be yourself. Don't try now to have only trousers and, you know, a suit like this, because you are in the world of men, especially in financial services. Just be yourself and have the confidence, and everything will be fine. If you are it's because somebody really believes that you can do it. And it's not what somebody else believes or not in you, it's whether you believe in yourself or not. And I know it's easy to say, and not we have our doubts all the time whether our hair is beautiful enough or whatever, the makeup is perfect. We put so many, you know, constraints in front of us, and we want to be perfect in every single situation. Don't be harsh on yourself, just be yourself and take it from there. And what can I say? Yeah, if you love people as a leader, they will feel it, and they will give you back 10 times more of your love.
That's really inspiring, I think, Cornelia. Because you do transmit this authenticity, and it is an advice to follow. Maybe not as natural for everybody as it comes to you, but definitely something we all need to think about.
Also, when it's difficult, ladies. I have to be honest. Nobody expects, I know in some cultures, yeah, if you are the leader, you have to show muscle. No, be honest and transparent. That works always. Things are not okay, or I struggle myself. Let's talk about it, right? That's it. Be yourself.
Be yourself. It's a great advice, and we are getting reactions also, thanking you for the inspiration and for the honest answers, and also that you are very inspiring, and that your advice is just great. I love your advice. That's one comment. Cornelia, thank you very much. I mean, I think I definitely feel energized. I remember we started the conversation talking about this, you know, news that the lockdown is coming, and that people's morale are probably even lower than before. And I do hope that we also manage to energize you with our conversation. And
I want to thank you. I want to thank you, ladies, because first of all, for being here. We're number one. Who imagined that Monday, 14th November at 9 o'clock, in some countries even 10 o'clock now, people are still around and watch this conversation. Thank you for taking the time from your family to be together tonight. I really appreciate, and thanks a lot to Anna for the invitation. Ingrid, I mean, part of my stories, who knows Ingrid, especially in Hungary, Ingrid was my biggest support. So thank you, Ingrid, for helping me all the way to be who am I today as a leader. And yeah, you're welcome. And I hope to see you soon and keep in touch. I will definitely like to join your association and get close to you and see how can I help, and what kind of interactions we can have in the future. If we have events one day, I would love to be in front of everyone and have a glass of wine together. Thanks a lot for the invitation.
Same for us, Cornelia. Looking forward to those times when we can meet face to face. We're so happy you're now in the Netherlands, and hope to connect even more from Polaris.
Take care of yourself. Stay safe, ladies. Bye.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.